Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to all of you. This is your host Vaibhav. In today's session of correlation and regression, we will be considering the price action so far which has driven the dollar surge. If we consider the price moves in the European session, we have seen the dollar appreciating against most of the major currencies. So that has been the theme so far in the market. In light of that, we will see how things are likely to shape up as the US session is going to get underway. So let us now head to the JForex for the newly released trading platform from the Dukascopy Bank SA. This is the Euro USD chart with the each candle period defined at 5 minutes, and I have added the Donchian channel 24 to get us the price range prevalent over last 2 hours and the Donchian channel 48 to look at the price range for last 4 hours. Along with that, we have the SMA 12 and SMA 24 in place for the average price prevalent over last 1 hour and 2 hours respectively. Now, if we consider the Euro USD price moves, earlier in the day it was moving sideways. The price range was very narrow. After the start of the European trading session, we have seen this decline of almost 50 pips from the highest point, which was just little shy of 1.08. The high was recorded at 1.07987, just a little over 1 pips less than the crucial level of 1.08. Now here we have the Euro USD consolidating with the bearish bias. So the underlying momentum is in the favor of dollar, which has been the case after the solid non-farm payroll data release on the Friday. Since then, the dollar has gained the upper hand, and that sentiment is prevalent in today's session also. So, even now, I think it is better to go with the flow and keep looking for the opportunities to go short in the Euro USD, or for that matter, go long in the dollar in these forex crosses across the major currencies. We will have to figure out where the opportunity is likely to be more favorable for the trading, if the euro is the most bearish or whether we have better opportunities elsewhere. We will have to figure that out. But the major theme is quite clear that the dollar is having the upper hand at the moment, and for at least next couple of hours we can continue to bet on the weakness of the dollar to the strength of the dollar to prevail, and weakness of these other major currencies can be exploited to take advantage of the situation. If we look at the timeline of this high and the low formation, we have the Euro USD consolidating and then making this fresh swing low at 9 GMT. Since then, the price action has been of making lower lows and lower highs. If we consider the other chart of the other major currencies, similar momentum is being observed there. The AUD USD was laggard. It followed the euro's decline, but with a time gap of around 1 hour. So for the AUD, the 4 hourly low was made at 10 GMT, whereas for euro, the 4 hourly low was made at 9 GMT. But if we look at the magnitude of decline for the AUD, that has been substantial. And if we look at its high and the low, the decline is of around 1 percentage point, little less than 1 percentage point, whereas for the euro, the decline is around half a percentage point. So, in terms of the magnitude, even though the AUD started to decline later, it picked up momentum and declined a lot more in a shorter span of time. Now, if we consider the AUD's current movement, even after this correction here of around 20-25 pips, again it has started to decline with a half a percentage point decline being seen from this immediate swing high. For the euro, the similar momentum is being observed. So in terms of the volatility is a lot higher for the AUD compared to the euro. The euro's momentum is similar in terms of the timeline, but in terms of the volatility, in terms of the magnitude, the AUD is leading the charge. And as trader, we always prefer more volatility to the less. So I think on that count, you can give the preference for new short selling trades in the AUD compared to the euro. Let's see the story for GBP. The GBP is also having a similar undertone in today's session. Here we are seeing the GBP trading in a narrow range, but it is looking a lot less bearish compared to both the AUD as well as Euro. It has even gone on to make these fresh day high, fresh 4 hourly high, you can call it, after this prior low, just little above 1.20. So the momentum is not that clearly bearish for the GBP, rather it is going sideways and it is in a consolidation phase with a very narrow range. For GBP, the price range for today's session has been around 50 pips, which is pretty less if we look at its historical range in last few days, where it has been a lot more volatile. The price formation is, of course, bearish from the medium term perspective, but not from the immediate term. I think this is an instrument which you can bet on if you feel that the dollar's momentum is not likely to be sustained in latter hours of the day. So the GBP can be the first choice for the possibility of dollar weakening further in the day. So for the contra trend trades, the GBP I think is likely to pro a lot better option compared to the other major currencies of Euro and AUD. So watch out for this immediate price low of around 1.204. If the GBP doesn't really break through below this level, and if it holds around this price area, I think we can indeed give it a shot while adopting a buy on dips approach, and the stop loss can be kept somewhere close to this immediate swing low, the prior low of around 1.202. Let's see the NZD USD. The NZD is in line with its Asia Pacific peer of AUD. The NZD is also trading in a bearish manner with the substantial decline of half a percentage point since it made this immediate high at around 1 point, sorry, not 1 point, the 0.6320 level. Since then, it has gone into this consolidation phase with the bearish bias. Earlier in the day, it made this low at around the same time as is the case with Euro and ahead of the AUD. But if we look at its magnitude of the decline, it is less compared to the decline which we observed for the AUD. So that difference is there. And since then, since the initial difference between the AUD and NZD along with the euro, we have seen the convergence of sword in the latter stages of today's trading session, the European session in particular, with this NZD also declining sharply after this correction on the higher side. So we have almost similar price structure prevalent in these three major currency crosses, with the dollar having a upper hand. So we will have to keep looking for these opportunities while continuing to bet on the dollar's strength. And in that case, we have the AUD as the leader of the pack on account of the volatility, and as cashed it has been able to catch up with the NZD and the euro, even though it started its decline late. Now let's consider the price structure for the USD CAD. The CAD is also following the similar trajectory, with the dollar having a clear cut upper hand in today's session. This decline of the CAD has pushed the USD CAD higher, with this prior swing high coming in ahead of the euro as well as the NZD and the AUD, and after that it dipped somewhat, not much below prior swing low, and again it started its journey higher. Now if we consider the price moves at the current moment, it is trying to catch up and cross above this immediate swing high. So that shows it is lagging compared to the price formation of other major currencies like Euro, AUD, and the NZD. So on that count, I think we will have to put the USD CAD on the back burner. We still have much more momentum, strong momentum on the bearish side in AUD USD. So if you want to go for a short sale trade, the first preference still remains with the AUD, while we can consider the GBP USD as the least preferable instrument for going short, while making sure that if we get further confirmation of the trend change and the dollar starts to weaken, in that case the GBP is going to be the first choice to go long GBP USD. Let's consider the USD CHF. The USD CHF has also consolidated with this momentum, largely looking sideways, but the undertone has been off rise, and we have seen the USD CHF turning around and going on to make these higher highs and higher lows this time around. So here, this immediate low came in quite higher compared to the prior swing high, and now it has also been successfully able to cross above this immediate swing high. So that also puts it in line with its other European peer of Euro, and we have to keep looking for the buying opportunities in the USD CHF while expecting it to eventually climb towards 0.93. So that possibility is there for the USD CHF, but apparently it is not the best choice, as we have the AUD USD as the leader of the pack with this strong move pushing it lower and lower, and it is substantially lower compared to the immediate swing low. So we still have the AUD as best bet for the shorting, while keeping the option of GBP open if we see further signs of changing sentiments. Let's see the USD JPY. USD JPY has been one of the most bullish instrument in today's session. If we look at the price structure of the USD JPY, it started with the gap up open of more than 100 pips, almost 1 percentage point. Then it continued to consolidate with this bias undertone being bullish, and now if we look at its current price structure, it has been able to successfully cross and rise almost quarter percentage point from the prior swing high. So that puts it as one of the best contender for going long in the US dollar. So if you expect the US dollar to continue to remain strong in today's session, I think USD JPY can also be considered along with the AUD USD. Now it's uh, it's a matter of I think not much difference is there in terms of the timeline, and if we consider the price structure, we have the AUD with slight advantage as there has been more volatility there compared to the USD JPY, but of late the USD JPY also seems to be catching up. So it is not much clear, but still, considering the fact that both of these instruments are similarly aligned, you can even interchange it. If you prefer to trade with the USD JPY, you can go for that, or if you like the AUD more, you can short the AUD. So both these price formations are similar in nature. There is not much of a difference, and given the fact that USD JPY has a larger range in terms of the pips, maybe on that count the USD JPY can be given the preference. So here we have the correlational analysis telling us that the dollar is having the upper hand in today's session. Maybe apart from the GBP, almost all the other instruments, other currencies are on the back foot, and you can keep looking for the opportunities to go for a long trade in the dollar while expecting the other major currencies to remain on the weaker footing. Now let's turn to the equity segment. Here in the equity segment, we are seeing the S&P 500 starting to rise after making the low just little below 4,100. So there is this substantial jump now. If you consider the larger time frame charting, we have the S&P 500 consolidating with this bias turning in favor of the bulls now. On the Friday session, we saw the S&P 500 correcting from these higher levels, and since then the undertone has been slightly bearish, but it seems to be now catching up. And in today's session in particular, after making this low at 4094, it is trying to climb up, but till it makes a fresh high above these prior swing highs, and then it should also consolidate for at least couple of hours before we can think about going long. So right now, after the start of the US session, it is indeed showing the momentum on the upside, but it is able to sustain or not, that is the question, and it is going to be resolved fairly soon. If it able to sustain its immediate jump, and if we don't really see any turnaround and decline below this prior swing low in next hour or two, we can be fairly confident of its continuation of the momentum. And for that matter, we will need the further confirmation that there should not be much of an correction from the current levels. If it continues to trade with the immediate jump on the bullish side with shallow correction, maybe in an hour or two, we can indeed go for the long trade while keeping the stop loss somewhere closer to this immediate swing low. But before we can decide if the S&P 500 is the best choice in the equity segment, we also have to consider the other major equity indices for the US. So let's consider the Dow Jones Industrial Average and Nasdaq as well. So here comes the Dow Jones Industrial Average. For the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the momentum is looking similar to what we are observing for the S&P 500, but it is looking less bullish compared to the S&P 500. If we look at the timeline of making these high and this prior low, let's consider the timeline. It just remained little shy of touching this 4 hourly high, whereas for the S&P 500, it was indeed able to get fairly close to it. Let's consider the Nasdaq as well. Nasdaq even made this prior high, swing high, just slightly above the immediate 4 hourly high. So on this minor difference, we can make the inference that Nasdaq is slightly bullish, not much difference is there, only slightly bullish compared to the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And if we omit this factor, the price formation is not much of a difference, with the undertone now shifting on the bullish side, but it is still in a consolidation phase. So I think even in today's session, we should only adopt buy on dip strategy. So if it doesn't really decline much, and if it is able to hold closer to these current levels, current swing high, for next hour or two, we can indeed give it a try with adopting a buy on dips strategy while keeping the stop loss somewhere close to this 12,400 level. So see how the price action turns out in next couple of hours, and if it is able to sustain this immediate jump and if we don't really see any decline on the lower side, we can indeed go for a long trade in the US equities also, with Nasdaq looking slightly more bullish compared to the other major equity indices. So that's my take looking at the current price formation of the equity segment. Prior to this, we also saw the forex market, in which the momentum is on the side of the dollar, with AUD having a bearish day, the most bearish of the major currencies, while GBP is the least bearish of all the major currencies, so you can make your choice accordingly. So that's all from my side for today's session. Thank you all for joining in. Have a fabulous day ahead. Goodbye.